So when you guys get your Grinch Mav, this is what it's going to come looking like. So let's get this guy open. So we got our pebbled vinyl, and then we got our waterproof canvas for the inside. So we have, okay, just flat out saying this, if you did not want to put this on the inside of your bag and you wanted to make a second Mav using just this, I wouldn't blame you at all, because this is awesome. I might do that. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, because this is really cute. Okay, so we got our front, our back, we got our bottom gusset, we got our zipper gusset. These little tab thingies, if you are doing the pattern per Lindsay's original instructions and video, there's like a little zipper pocket thing, and then there's tabs. Yeah, no, I don't mess with that. I just do the binding, and it's simpler and easier, and I just don't like bursting through like that tiny little hole thing. That's just me personally. I've done it once. I think it was the materials that I used. Anyway, sorry, ran out of time. So I won't be using these. But if you didn't want to put in the pockets, you could easily use these as tabs for like a little zipper pouch pocket, which would be super cute to be able to put inside the bag to be able to hold all your little extras. So that's all that. We have our Santa hat, because you can't have the Santa Grinch without the Santa hat. Bam! All right, here we go. I know there's some extra stuff on here this time, so bear with me. We got our bottom gusset, D-ring tabs. My brain just like completely blanked out on what that was for a second. We have our front, we have our back. These are little tab things for when you're doing the strap for the raw ends. If you're using like webbing, you can put these on the ends to kind of give it more of a finished look. Depends on your preference on that. Like, I usually don't end up using these, but again, you can also use them for like the little zipper pouch thing if you wanted to. This is the little strap or the little anchor things for the D-ring things for the side. Then you have your connector things that go on the top for the straps to go into and everything. And these are also little attachment thingies for your straps. I will probably be doing a limited hardware version of this, and then also instead of using these, I'm going to use the little, it's like a little hack thing, but I've done it on a few other ones. I just put a piece of webbing across the back of it, and then my D-ring can slide back and forth, and then I'm not using this piece. So if you're worried about bulk on your domestic machine, doing the webbing across the back and skipping this piece makes it a lot easier and less bulky, and you're not having to have all the folds and this and that. Anyway, these little doodads over here are the cuffs, because the cuffs sit so close, and we wanted to have like that little extra little fun little pop of just the cuffs, and then you get the Santa hat and everything. So these are additional pieces. If you don't want to make them kind of like more of a 3D look to them, you don't have to. You absolutely do not have to use these if you do not want to. I will use them in this video to show you, if you do decide you want to use them, how you would use them. Okay, so we have ones that will attach directly onto here, and they'll kind of, so we got to do a little fussy cutting to get like make them look good. And then we'll attach them here, and then it'll all work out, believe me. And then for the hat, because you see really pretty much the whole, you'll end up seeing like his whole top of his head. Completely personal preference on this. You can not have the Santa hat at all if you wanted to. You could sew the Santa hat onto the back of the bag if you wanted to, just to kind of like have like that extra little thing on the back if you wanted to. You could like sew them together and then have them be like a little dangle, like it'd be a really big dangle thing, but it could be a little thing that hangs off the side of the bag to kind of like, hey, I got my Santa hat hanging here kind of thing, like, I don't know, like in the Grinch's belt loop or something. I don't know. Something. You could get as creative with it as you want. It is completely personal preference. These things are here, but you don't always have to use everything that is here. You can hard sew them on. So it's kind of like the pumpkin bag where I gave you guys the options for like the ears are sewn into the seam allowance. Then you can sew the bow on, not sew the bow on. Yeah. So if you're confused, I will explain as we go along. If you wanted to, you could hard sew the hat onto the Grinch if you wanted to, and then the hat will always be there. And so this is one that will not go into the seam allowance. It will be an additional thing. That's why there is two, because it will stick up above the top of the bag. Another option that you can do is to make it removable, because you can see all this hair and everything, and it's really cute. You could like add like little snaps on either side of his head, and then put them into the Santa hat, and then the hat is removable. Most likely I'll be doing the snap option to be able to make the hat removable. So a couple things that you guys will also need to cut out. You will need binding. So you can either, if you decide to use this material for your lining, there are some various colors you can choose to coordinate with. But if you end up putting this on the outside and making a completely separate bag, whatever color you end up using on the inside, so you'll need your binding for that. And then because this is at 120%, I like to add Decovil light interfacing to my pieces, just because it's just like, I like it just a little bit more structure. If this was at 100%, I wouldn't use anything in it. But so I'll use some Decovil light in the front, back, the top, and the bottom gusset, and that's it. And just make sure that when you're cutting it, cut it out of your seam allowance. If you do not know how to print your pattern at 120%, I have a little video down below in the description that will show you guys how to be able to print that out, because then you can use the interfacing pattern pieces from the original pattern, and if you print them at 120%, you can get the pieces for this. Okay, I'm gonna get everything cut out, and I'll see you guys at the sewing machine. So before our Grinch bag, I'm only going to show you guys how to do the Pimp My Bag version, or the steps that would make it the Pimp My Bag. For this, I've done so many other tutorials on sewing up the rest of the Mav, and there's lots of videos out there. So I'm focusing this video mainly on the cuffs and the Santa hat. So the cuffs are going to get hard sewn onto the bag. I'm going to make the hat removable. So that is the goal for that one. So I'm going to start with the cuffs, and I have black thread in because I'm going to be sewing at 1/8 of an inch right around there. And so it's got that nice little black outline. So I'm doing black. Okay. So these two, so you got to, there's pairs. So you want to make sure you get your pairs, and then they do go on to certain sides. Yes, you could flip them over. So this way they'll go up that one, and this one goes over here. So we have to be really careful with the cuffs. Again, you do not have to use these. These are optional. They're just like fun little additive pieces. If you want to use them, you totally can. Same with the Santa hat. You don't have to sew the Santa hat on to the Grinch. Like I said in the opening, you can sew the hat onto the back of the backpack, which would be, or the sling bag, which would be really cute. It could be like a fun little, you could sew it together, and it could be a fun little like dangle accent thing that just kind of hangs out from the bag. However you want to use it, it's totally up to you. So you could always have it to where like the hat hangs, I don't know, whatever you want to do with it, or not even use it at all. But we'll start with the cuffs. All right, with the cuffs, you have to be really careful because we need to leave at least 1/4 inch of room to be able to allow for the binding. If you leave just 1/4 inch, it means that your binding is going to be really tight. So you have to come over, and you really want to kind of give it more of a 3/8 inch. So for these ones, because they sit so close to the edge, normally when you do sew down, like when you hard sew something like this onto it, you would sew the backing on first, and then you would add the front, and then I could sew this right here together, and then tuck this out of the way, and then I would sew this together, which I will end up doing. So let's go ahead and we'll hard sew the backs on where we can. So I'm going to kind of draw some lines. So You know, I'm going to keep that in place. I'm going to put some double-sided stick tape to hold the back there because it keeps wanting to move. So I'm going to show you guys one of them. Hopefully I don't completely royally mess it up. And then I'll move on to the hat to make it removable. All right, so we got that. Okay, so that, okay, at least now that's gonna stay in place. All right, I wanna verify, so here is my quarter, okay, that's broken. Here we go. There's my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Whether I actually end up sewing a 1/4 inch is a different story. Sometimes I drift more and corners are always a little bit harder. Okay, so there's my 1/4 inch. So that's what I can't sew. I can sew pretty much right there in like the little L, which almost doesn't seem like it's necessary. But if this were to be something that I would sew down, okay, we're gonna play the imaginary game. I apologize. So imaginary game, if you're going to hard sew the hat down. So let's say you decide you want the hat. Let's put these together so we can kind of really visualize. If you want to kind of cover the eyebrows or partially cover the eyebrows, let me get a more of a different angle for you guys. There we go. So now you guys get more of a downward angle and can hopefully see a little bit better at what I'm doing. So if you wanted to hard cover, like, so we're imaginary hard sewing this down. So if you want to cover the eyebrows or have it raised up to where the eyebrows are kind of like pushing the hat up or all the way down here, it's really your preference of where you would want to sew the hat down. So let's just, I'm going to imaginary sew. Yeah. Okay, that looks fine there. Okay. So we want to make sure we leave a good gap there. So I can hard sew there. And then all of this will get sewn down also for the front. So I can sew, or yeah, probably sew. I'd probably sew that right there. Just this little right here to start. Because then when you come in, so that's hard sewn down. When you come in to bring this, put some double-sided stick tape to hold those two pieces together. You would then sew from like about here, leaving a gap again for the binding. And then same with this side, leaving a gap for the binding. You would sew through the front, your back, and the front of your vinyl from here all the way down. And then you would end over here. Okay. And then when it came to sewing this part together, you would need to tuck the main part of your bag out of the way. And then sew from here to here. And again, remembering to tuck the main part of your bag up and out of your way as much as you can. And so that will hold and put the bag, this together. A few different options. I know the imaginary game can kind of make things a little hard when I'm not actually doing that. But we're going to sew this one. So, and then because I don't really need to hard sew anything down first because it's such a small working area. You know what? The only part that I really need is that little bit. I'm being brave. Hopefully this doesn't backfire on me. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the keister, because we shall see what happens. Okay, gonna add it to this piece. that one. Okay, well that looks better already right there. Actually, I'm gonna put a little piece on that side because it likes to wiggle. Okay, so now that's held down. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm literally just going to be sewing from here around the top. And then I'm gonna about probably right in here, I'm gonna end, and that's all I'm gonna hard sew onto the front of this. And then that's when I'm going to then pull the main part of the bag out of the way, and then I'll sew it together on the bottom. So I'm gonna do that. I'll zoom you guys in so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. I like to go this way. All right, so make sure I am far enough away to allow for my seam allowance, which I am. Okay. And again, I am only sewing around this at 1/8 of an inch. Oh, let's go with smaller seam stitch. Oh my gosh, that stitch length is so tiny. So yeah, just really take your time. You want to stay at that 1/8 inch. You want to sew along the edge. Oh my gosh, that is too tiny. I can't handle it. Okay, can I turn? Nope, not yet. All right, and that's as far over as I'm gonna go because I don't want to go any closer than this because that will affect for the binding. And I'm pulling my stitches long so that way I can pull my threads to the back. Okay, so this is what that looks like. Not bad, I kind of missed that corner, but it's okay. I will catch that when I sew these together. So if you left your tails long, you can go ahead and pull them to the back and tie them off. If you want to just back stitch, you can totally do that too. Okay, now that it's hard sewn onto the front of this bag, I'm now going to sew my front and backs together. Well, that was kind of dumb of me to cut it because now I don't have anything for the top of this to get sewn to. But it's okay, it'll be okay. So I'm just going to sew what I can that has the pieces there. So make sure to pull that back, which most of that is going to be out of the way. All right, we'll go to a smaller stitch length. Bring the needle down. This is tiny. Well, I probably would have been better off using white because I can definitely see more of my stitching now. So, well, this one was definitely a trial. I'm gonna leave the full cuffs when I do the second one, and hopefully it will turn out a little bit better. Okay, so here's one of the cuffs. I definitely probably should have just done white because the stitching on that looks kind of ridiculous. So this is, as you can see, this is the difference between having it be sewn on and then not having anything sewn on. So truly your personal preference on which one you like. Most of this one will get kind of sucked up into the seam allowance, where this one, when this gets kind of pulled into the seam allowance, it will get to kind of like hang over the corner of the bag. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. And some of my double-sided stick tape is, ooh, a lot of it's going to get to hang over, or can hang out. Okay, so I will do this one off camera. Okay, now let's go play with what we're going to make removable. So my biggest thing is I want to make sure I don't hit his hair. Okay, so that we look good there. Okay, so I kind of like those areas. I like that spot. And let's go to that spot. Okay, so then let's transfer, or technically, if we just grab, I'm gonna hold this, or clip that in place. If you have some hole punches on this one, we can technically just punch through the hat and through the front of the bag, and then we can add our snaps. So this one is a lot easier than the bow that I did for the pumpkin bag, just because that one was going, the snaps were attaching to the ears, and yeah, things were gonna move and it wasn't gonna line up, where this one is being attached directly to the main part of the bag. So it's a lot easier to attach them directly to the main part of the bag. So we can just punch a hole through this and punch a hole through that. Oop, I didn't get all the way through on that one. There we go. Okay, so there's a few color options. The inside of the hat, it really doesn't matter because you're not going to see that. What's going to matter is this, because that's what's going to be seen. So let's check out the blues. Oh yeah, that's a nice little, pretty darn good color match. And then another option, we could do them as white. Maybe make them look maybe snowflake-esque. Oh wait, let's go. Let's do the same style. I think I'm leaning towards the blue. Oh yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards the blue. That white just sticks out way too much. Okay, so we got two of the stabby pokey things. We got our two male ends. And then I'll just keep doing, do I want to do blue? Continue, sure, I'll do blue. I'll do blue for this so then it stays. Or do I want to do red? Because then what's going to be seen on this side? Yeah, I'm going to do red because then what's going to be seen on this side will be the female ends. Okay, yeah. And at least then they don't stick out like a sore thumb. Oh, perfect. Okay, I like that idea. All right, so two more pokey thingies. We got the two females. All right. I like it when a plan comes together. So far, this is coming together. Well, besides the cuffs. The cuffs didn't really work out that great. But they look good. We'll see how good they look when I finish. Okay, And then let me grab the color chart. So then I can tell you exactly what color these are if you wanted to order your own. They are, nope. Nope, nope. Is this one even on there? I don't know if you're on there. You look like you match that one, but you're kind of darker. I don't know. Maybe it's because this is old. Well, I thought this was going to be helpful. Yeah, I think this is the closest one. So it is D323 for the back of here. And the red, we'll go with that one, is BG113. So if you guys want to, and I don't think this is all of the colors that they have. This is just something that I got. Yeah, colors may not always be available and may not be available in it. Oh, well, a red and a tealy or like a turquoisey-ish, a light blue. So sorry, hopefully that wasn't as helpful as I thought it was. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add these. So I have my reds with the Santa hat. And then when you add these, you want the female or male, whatever end you use, you want that to be on the back of the hat, and then the flat surface to go in the back of the hat like that. And then for these guys, you want to make sure that if you're using whatever female, male end, you want that one to be facing up. And then the pokey flat back thing is one that's going to come through, and it's going to come in like, so it'll look like, if it will stay, it'll look like that. Okay, so that way it's going in the correct direction. I'm going to go install these so then we can marvel at our hat, and I'll be right back. All right, got my snaps attached. So we got that one, so then they'll go together like this. I have yet to put it together. I want to wait and finish putting the hat together, and then we can snap it in place. So another thing that I also did before adding the snaps, I realized I never added any stabilizer. So I added some Deco Heavy to the back of this, and you definitely need to add, if you don't stabilize the back piece, which of the two pieces I recommend doing the back piece, because that's the piece that's really going to be getting the pressure of going on and off. You really want to add at least something where the snaps are going, because that's, if you take it on and off, it's going to be a lot of pressure on it, so you want to reinforce those areas. So added that, gives it a helps. It also will give it a little bit of stiffness and rigidity to help it stand up when you go to put it in place and as you're moving and wearing your bag. Okay, now let's grab some double-sided stick tape. We're gonna add there, a little piece in the little cotton puff ball thing. The top. And if you hear grumblings, that would be the puppies playing. They woke up and now they're all raring to go. Okay, after you get your double-sided stick tape placed where you would like it, you can go ahead and then remove the paper backing, then line up the top or the front with everything to the best of your ability. If you have, eventually you're gonna have, after you sew, things just tend to move, you'll end up having stuff that will stick over, and all we have to do is trim that off, and then if you want to edge coat, you totally can. So you're gonna go around and you're gonna sew this at 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna get the hardest part out of the way, going through all those little curves. So definitely take your time. Okay, I got the hat all finished getting sewn up, and so I do have some areas that stick out. So if you have like little small snips, go ahead and trim any of the stuff that you can see from the front. The back is not really super important because you're not really going to see the back except for up here. Like if you have something that hangs out on either side or at the top, yes, you want to trim that because you will see that at the top of the bag. But all of this is covered by the main part of the bag itself, so you can only see the front. All right, got it all trimmed up. Let me zoom out. Now for my favorite part, let's add the snaps. Ready, ready, ready? Get it all lined up. And, oh, I love a good snap. Oh my gosh, it looks so cute. And then when we take it off, oh, and it still looks super good. Just with even without the Santa hat, it looks really good. I absolutely love this. And then we can add the hat back. Oh, look at that. Okay, that's freaking adorable. It's totally not perfectly straight on, but that's what makes it unique. And it's like, cause like, does the Grinch wear the Santa hat perfectly? I don't know. But it kind of adds it just adds to it. I just think it looks really cool. Oh my gosh. Okay, so again, personal preference. If you want to have no Santa hat, where you get to see the Grinch's hair, if you want to hard sew the hat onto it, like I'm doing the cuffs, or if you want to make the hat removable, completely your choice, or just not have at the beginning I said no hat at all. My memory sucks. All right, so I'm gonna add this last cuff on, and I will show you guys my finished front, and then at the very end of the video, I will show you guys pictures of the completed finished Grinch bag. Okay, so I got the cuffs sewn on. These are going to be really cool. I am excited to see this bag sewn together with the cuffs, and then you get the curves of the bags, and then the cuffs just are going to stick out on the corners. I think this is going to look really cool and just add that extra level of depth to the Grinch bag. So doing this in white thread might be a little bit easier, and then you can always grab a Sharpie, and then wherever it hits the black, just color the white thread black. I don't know. It really depends, but it's not super, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't super noticeable. It just, I guess, depends on the person, but it's not horrible. Yeah, this was a little tough. It's a very narrow, thin black line. But either way, I'm gonna finish this bag, and you guys will see the finished pictures here shortly.